Hi everybody, I'm Shellie Geigle with J&S Hobbies and Crafts, and I have another mini album tutorial for you. This is a 7-inch by 9-inch mini album using the Heartfelt Creations Blushing Rose paper collection. And this is a step-by-step, so if you are a beginner, do not be intimidated by what you see. We do make this together in the tutorial, so I will show you where to cut on the paper, measurements, and so on. You will notice all these flowers here are handmade. However, in the materials list, I do show you packets of flowers. If you're not a die cutter or you don't like stamping and cutting out flowers, you like them already put together. So I will show you some packets that will blend in lovely with this paper collection. And so anyway, let's go ahead and go through the overview here. And I think you can see this pretty good. It's got a 3.5-inch spine. And it has a side closure to keep it. And page 1 here, we have a large fold out, and the page here was left alone so that you can plant a photo in there. And down here we have a pocket. Now in this tutorial you can make it with one paper pad, however you'll want to get some solid colored cardstock to help with some of the picture mats, and we do use it in the last 2 pages of the tutorial. So if you don't like what you see as far as the solid colored cardstock, you may want to get a second paper pack in order to complete this. Okay, so for this page, this is something a little different. I have a fold out up here. And over here, you can slide in behind the little lattice a little tag. And what this does is you can open up this, and then you can plant photos in there. Little photos. And these are all magnetic. And that will just slide in. I thought that'd be a cute idea. You can write about what's inside there. Okay, so for this page I did use the inserts, one of the new inserts from Heartfelt Creations, and you'll see that in the materials list. This page here is actually one that can pull all the way out, and you can either put it this way or you can fold it back the other way. Either way. So let's start with this. I'm just going to fold that back behind. Down here we have some picture mats, and right here we have a generous picture mat. Up here we have a pocket that loads from the top. And I'm just going to flip this right on over. And these here are just little mats, as you can see. Here's another one that you can take out. These are just mats that you pull right on out. And this came again from the insert, so these were already ready to go for us, and here is another one. Over here we have a pocket up front, several mats, and then we have these larger ones that come out. And then a top one that fold it open, and you have a nice size pocket there. And I'm going to slide this back in there. Okay, this is something different. Now the idea behind this is you can pull these back, okay, and get something in there. For example, I'm going to pull these out of here. You can slide them in there if you would like. It's just something different. You can just put mats in there. And then in here you can slide them on in there. Another way to do this is just layer in some, like so. So that's something different. And also, in this tutorial, if you are not a die cutter, you don't have to be. Even on this page, I kind of show you what to do in order to achieve something. You don't get the detail like this, but you don't have to have a die cutting machine to make this tutorial. And then we just have some mats over here, and I left this so you can just plan a nice size photo. Here we have a nice size pocket. We have a fold out and another generous pocket. On this page we have this, and this is something different to do. So this is magnetic. All you have to do is just grab it and you can pull things out like so. And then we have a large pocket back here. Over here is a side pocket, some mats. And the picture mats you will be doing on your own when we're all done, because people tend to like to have their own size pictures, or they like to crop certain ways, so that is up to you. Okay, last pages. Now this was also done with one of the new inserts. I may have done it a little bit differently, used it a little differently than how they had intended it to be, but it's pretty creative. So here is a side pocket. Stick those back in here. And this flips up. Now this is exactly how it was intended when they did the inserts for this. And as you can see, this is a solid colored cardstock that I went and used to help out, since this is a pretty intense album with a lot of paper usage. And then this flips out. This flips out, and then we have our waterfall. And that is magnetic. Our last page, this is a very large page, and we just flip that right on up and flip that down. Down here is a fold out, and I think you can see that. And I have one of these clipped on, just a little tag or mat. Same thing here. This, you can slide something in there. This opens up. And you can plant a nice size photo over here. And here is our larger waterfall. And I'll just pull this down so you can see. And I was able to, I had a full sheet of 6x6 panels left at the end. While we're making the tutorials, I do not cover the back side of these, but there was plenty to do for the larger hair. And then on the other waterfall on the other page, I coordinated in some solid colored cardstock there. And that is what we will be making today. Materials list. So what I'm using is the Heartfelt Creations 3D Flipfold album, and all this is our base album. I'm not building one from scratch, and I'm going to use black. And this is what you're going to get: is your pages, your base album. And this is a 9" by 7" wide. Paper. The paper that I chose is the new Heartfelt Creations Blushing Rose paper collection, and it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We have just a variety of colors that blend nicely together, and I am so excited to work with this. Because I'm using the black album, I'm going to go ahead and use black cardstock as well. And I'm using the Coordinations Black Cat, and it's 65-pound weight. And this is the value pack. 50 sheets come in a package, and this is an 8.5 by 11 size. I'm also going to use the Heartfelt Creations Pocket and Flipfold inserts. This is something new that they just came out. This is E. And if you're using a black album, you'll want to choose E black. If you're going to use white album with white cardstock, you would use E white. This is the F, and I'm using the black, of course. So you'll want to match yours up with the color cardstock or album that you are using. One thing I am going to be using is the Crocodile Brown specialty paper. It's a single sheet. It's 8.5 by 11 inches, and this is what I'm going to use to wrap the spine of my album. If you're only going to be using one paper pad like me, you'll need to alternate in some solid colored cardstock, and I recommend going with pale colors. You'll want about 5 sheets of 8.5 by 11 pale blue, about 4 or 5 sheets of a pale yellow, and if you want for picture mats, some very pale purple. That's my recommendation, staying with paler colors for this paper collection. And we do start using this when we hit our last 2 pages, and then as well as alternating in for our picture mats. On the cover of my album, I am using the Designs by Shellie, which is my own brand, oval frame. And this color is Gumdrop, and it really looks pretty in conjunction with the colors of that paper. If you don't like the color of Gumdrop, and I'm not sure how well it's showing up here, it's like a lavender, purplish lavender. There's also Midnight. Actually, it's called Purple Madness. It's not the Midnight. And this is a darker purple with glitter. For my flowers, I am using the new Heartfelt Creations Classic Rose stamp and matching die. The die is an HCD1-7110, and the matching stamp is a HCPC 3752. Now, if you don't have a die cutting machine, there are some options here. You can just stamp the image and fussy cut around. I will be using a lot of flowers in this, so if you don't want to do a lot of cutting out by hand and with the stamp set, I might suggest for those of you that like packaged flowers, And I'm going to show you some that will complement and look really nice on the cover and throughout. This is by Petaloo, and this is a P1176-107. We've got kind of the lavenderish and the darker purples here. That will look nice. There's also this one, and you get different shades of purple. This is also a nice color pack, and I'm not sure if these are coming up looking blue or what, but these are a darker purple in through here. This pack as well, and this is just the dahlias, and they're purple. And these will look really good for smaller flowers to complement larger flowers on the cover and throughout the inside of the album too. If you want to add a splash of a different color, I might suggest the Petaloo. These are yellow and cream. And then there's just the cream as well. So those are ones that I have laid up against the paper that will really look good. This one being probably my first choice for the cover flowers. And then the rest of these to complement around. So that is an option for you. Also, if you're die cutting or stamping and cutting out, I will be using the Classic Rose Vine die and the matching Classic Rose Vines stamp. And I do use quite a bit of these vines in the tutorial. And the die is an HCD17111. And then the matching stamp is an HCPC 3753. A newer die that I wanted to introduce into this album that looks really neat, and I did a custom album for a lady named Kathleen, who also takes the tutorials classes that I do online. I used a different paper, but I ended up using this die, and it came out beautiful. This is the Spellbinders Metro Style Gatefold, and you get 2 of these brackets in there, and they're just like this. So that is something I wanted to bring into this album to make it more special. And that is S4-673, and I'll definitely be using this in other tutorials along with the Classic Rose dies and stamps. For the borders, now you have some choices here. If you don't have a die cutting machine, I will get to that really quick. And I have something new to show you that we'll be doing with the Martha Stewart stamps as well. I like to reuse and bring into the tutorials that I do dies that I've used in previous one. It saves us a lot of money, and when I find a product that it's versatile and I can keep using it in different ways, I'll do it. So this is the Heartfelt Creations Regal Borders and Pockets. It's a larger die plate, and you can make some different decorative trims. It's an HCD1779. And then the Heartfelt Creations Ornate Borders and Pockets, HCD1780. For those of you that will not be die cutting at all, you don't have a die cutting machine or you don't like it, I will be using this in the tutorial as well. And this is the Martha Stewart 1/2" punch. And this will give us a pretty trim border on some of the smaller pockets. This is called Crochet Loop. It does come in a combo pack, so you will get the extra side piece, which what you can do with that is slip a piece of paper in there, and it will create actually a pull tab for picture mats or tags. I will be using this. Now, for the majority of the trims, if you're not die cutting, and I will be using this as well, is you're going to need a Martha Stewart deep edge punch. And in this tutorial, I'm using the arched circles, and I believe this one's called Trellis Chain. Now, one thing is you will not be able to use this on the, for trim on the inserts E or F. The reason why is that cardstock is very thick. It is hard to punch and you may damage or break your Martha Stewart punch. Something kind of I was playing around with is if you are not using the Heartfelt Creations other dies that I'll be using as well, I'll be showing you how to actually create some really pretty effects with these punches. And I've been playing around with them, and so far I've found that these two punches work the best. These ones that I mentioned here. For my leaves, I am going to be using the Memento Olive Grove, Pistachio, and Pear Tart. Now, I've been playing around and testing out colors. I am carrying the Color Box line of inks as well. If you don't like the more dulled down green color like I have here, and these haven't been die cut out, it's just a sample here. If you like more vibrant colored greens, I would recommend going with the Color Box Evergreen to stamp the image, and then Moss Green and Citrine. So you may be bored with the old colors if you bought them, or you're running out of ink, it's time to update. That is an option, but I will be using these in mine. Now, purple inks that I will be using to create my die cut flowers is the Color Box Plum, Heliotrope. I think you can see that color pretty good. This one is Lilac, and this is Thistle. Blue inks from Color Box is Harbor, Robin's Egg, which is just gorgeous, and Spa. I will be using my Dove Blender starter kit, and it gives me the extra nibs I need, but most importantly, on the Classic Rose Finds stamp and die set, or just the stamp here, there is a stamp that has the roses in it, and I did use that to get my colors in on the roses. Other items I'm going to be using is the Prills, and this is Lemon Chiffon. If you are not hand making your own flowers, you won't need this, but I'll be putting this in the center of my flowers. Wink Stella, I will be using that over my leaves and my flowers in conjunction with the Diamond Stickles. I will be using the Tim Holtz Baroque frames, and you get 2 per pack. I'll be using 1, and that is going to be on our spine. Glues and adhesive, I will be using the 1/4 inch score tape, and you get 27 yards in this. Glue, I am using the Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear glue, and I recommend this. This will be for my paper and for my side closure, the metal part. It is a really good universal glue, and it doesn't leave greasy residue. And if you are using this, I do recommend getting the metal tip that just pops on the top. It controls your flow and you don't waste. I will be using the Bling on a Roll. It's very inexpensive, and you get 10 yards of this, and this is the single strand. And what this looks like is this, and I use this in a lot of my tutorials. For the side closure, I am using the Dritz, and it's the nickel-plated brass, and you get 3 per package, so you'll have 2 extra for another album or another project. Lace, I will be using the Venice 1 3/4 white, and you just need a yard. And then I'm also using the 3/4, and a yard is plenty, I believe, for this. Remember, lace, check your craft drawer, because you can always use whatever lace that you would to use it up, so you don't have to keep buying over and over, you know, for these tutorials. Just use what you have. I will be using this. This is by Blue Fern Studios. This is the Lattice Fence, and it's just a chipboard. And I will be painting this white, so you will want some white craft paint. Now this is completely optional and you don't have to have this. These are the Tim Holtz hanger clips, and they're just like little paper clips and just to clip things on the side of your page. And some flat back pearls. 120 pack will do you for this for this whole tutorial. Now there is a lot of supplies in this particular tutorial, but remember, you don't have to have all the stuff that I put into. Your album will be perfectly fine if you decide I don't want this or I don't want that. And remember, check your craft drawers. You may have some small embellishments that you would rather alter in that are needing to be used, that you've been sitting on for a long time. Other items that you're probably going to want to help you out through the tutorial, of course, is a pair of scissors. You'll want a paper cutter. You will, craft knife is helpful. You also need your bone folder or scoring tool along with your scoring board, and a pencil with an eraser. Also, what I use in conjunction with my score tape and everything, I use a low temp hot glue gun just for quick tacking of my flowers. You'll also want a ruler. So we're starting to decorate the outside of our album. In your paper pack, you will find this beautiful sheet. On the other side, it looks like this. Let's go ahead and trim off the top first. Oh, and one thing is, and I say this with every tutorial because there are beginners starting that missed the last one. We're going to make some piles, and they're called reserve piles or scrap piles. Any leftover cuttings, we keep everything. Even if you don't think that it's a small piece, we won't be using it, you never know, because I do grab scraps and pieces out of our reserve pile. And you'll make one for your decorative paper, and you'll make one for your solid colored cardstock. With that being said, these trimmings off the top can just go into the garbage. We won't be using those, of course. Okay, our first cut. Let's measure over 6 inches and cut that right down the middle. This is what you should have, and we're going to cut for the front and the back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure over 8 7/8 of an inch and cut. These we're going to put in our reserves. Now you'll have one print here that has the 2 sides of the roses. This one looks like it's partially cut off because that was our other side. This is going to be for the back of our album, so set this off to the side. We'll get to that in a moment. This is going to be the front panel of our album. Now we are going to do a score tape, and I'm going to show you how this is going to play out. We cut it less than the 9 inches so that we can have a little bit of a black border around our album. So let's go ahead and get our score tape out. Flip this over. Okay, now one thing about this album is it does have a fabric wrap. Score tape sometimes will stick fine and other times it doesn't. So we are going to make sure that this holds down. The first thing we're going to do, and make sure you have this facing down, is we're going to go around the outside edge here, making sure we don't go over the paper. And we're just going to frame like a picture frame all the way around. It's very important that we make sure that we get that score tape pressed down really good. Okay, we do have fabric, and we want to make sure that when we place this, it's going to hold really well. And then on the other side of our album is where the Dritz, the little metal closure, is going to be. So we got to make sure that that's going to not bubble up on us. So we're going to add a couple rows down this side, and you can space them out, give it a little bit of space over there. And over here, we're just going to place one. Because our album cover has the frame and the flowers and more stuff, that's where I like to put a little more score tape to ensure that nothing buckles up, the paper doesn't come up. So I'm going to just lay some strips here as evenly as I can. Okay. So with this, I've got the 3 sides of the score tape closer together on this side, so that's going to be the side that's going to go down here. The side that we put the 2 close together is going to be over here. Now, before I remove the score tape, I'm going to show you once again, and sometimes it's easier just to hold your album up like this so you can see, because once that tape is, the backing off that score tape is off, it's off. So it might be easier to start like this. So let's remove our score tape. And that's where the craft knife comes in handy to help lift. One thing about score tape is we do have natural oils on our skin, or perhaps you're wearing lotion on your hands. Try not to get your hands on the adhesive. It's going to lessen the power, the strength, and your score tape can lift back up. So one thing I do when I'm working with score tape is I make sure I wash my hands, soap and water, and try to avoid touching that score tape. It's almost impossible not to touch it, but the less the better. And if you've never worked with score tape before, at first using it's kind of awkward, but once you start using it's like you love it. So okay, so I'm gonna just place mine, and I'm gonna try to be real even at the edge. I think you can see that. And then I'm gonna look top to bottom. Once I know I got where I need to be over here, it's gonna be easier for me just to lay this down to be straight. And this is where we really want to press down, especially because of this fabric over here. Okay, let's flip her on over. And we're going to put score tape around the outside on the back panel. One side we are going to put another strip down. We're going to put one down the middle and then 2 more right here. And since we do have the fabric, we want to put those 2 extra strips. So I'll show you what mine looks like here in just a moment. Okay, hopefully you can see that okay. So that's what yours should look like. I'm going to remove all the score tape, and then I'm going to place this down. Now when I place this down, I'm going to have this towards the outside and the cutoff part on the fabric, because we do have that wrap that will cover that. And then it will even it out too on the back. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, my back is down. Okay, let's grab our specialty paper, and what we're going to do is, looking at it like this, we are going to measure over, let's try 9 inches first to see how that looks, 9 inches, and cut. Stick this in our reserves. So bring this on over. And that 9 inches is perfect because it does not flop over the edge of our book. Where we're going to start the measuring is right where that blue line is. So this is what I want you to do, and we're going to do this by sight and by looking at the album. If you were to hold the album just like this, and you can see I have that slit right over that little blue line there to keep me straight. Okay, I'm going to flip my album up, and I'm going to hold this in place, and I'm just going to wrap this around like so. And I'm holding on to it here, and I'm holding on to it now back here. And when you're doing this, make sure you line yourself up straight. And once you see that you are straight and this is pushed down, go ahead and make a pinch at that corner. Okay, just a little pinch. That's where we're going to and a pinch back here. Okay, those 2 pinch marks, as you can see, is going to be my guide as far as when I wrap this around. Grab a ruler, and you're going to want a pencil. Okay, we already know where this mark is. Measure from the side of this to your first pinch mark. And I'm not sure if you can see mine. I'm going to pinch mine more where you can see. You see that crease? I'm going to measure on over to see the distance in between that. And I am about 1 3/8 of an inch from the corner here. Now I'm going to do that same measurement from the crease that we have back here. I'm going to make mine more prominent so you can see it there. So I am going to measure from that crease about 1 3/8 of an inch. It's the equal, so that it's equal wrapping around. I have made my mark with my pencil, and it's the same distance. I'm 1 3/8. Now before I go and chop off this side, I'm going to place this one more time to double check to make sure I am not cutting myself too short. So I'm going to put that right back up. I'm going to look over here where that line is, where it's going to hit, and I can see it's going to hit right here, which is perfectly fine because it does come past to cover over this. Now I'm going to put this on my paper cutter. I know my mark is good, and I'm going to chop off this extra that we don't need. Now I'm placing this on here. I don't have my score tape on yet. I want to show you what yours should look like. I've got it on there. I'm going to wrap it around, and on the back it's going to look like that. Okay, it is time for score tape. So the trick with this, at least it's not really a trick, it's just how I've always done it, is you see the crease line that you have, do a soft crease, don't do a real tight crease. This is, you don't want a real tight crease, but it will help for when you're laying your score tape. Just a real soft one so you can see where your crease is there. You're going to lay score tape like around in that area, but avoiding the crease. So let me show you, and I do mine in sections. So this first, I call it a little panel. This first little panel, I'm just going to go all the way around. And if you get score tape over the side of your paper, you want to make sure that you trim that off. And because this is going over half fabric and half paper, I am going to fill that in. Okay, so my crease is right on the left side. I've got my finger in my score tape, which is a no-no, on the left side of that. And now I am going to place this, and I'm not going to get it on that crease. And I'm going to do the same thing over here inside of that crease. And I'm going to make like an inside panel, I guess you could call it. It looks like a lot of score tape because it is a lot of score tape. You want to make sure that it is going to hold down. And then I'm just going to go on this last side. Okay, I am ready to place this now, and I want to watch where that top crease is, front and the back. The first thing I'm going to do is only remove the front part here, front panel, score tape here. And I'm going to leave the score tape on the middle and the other panel. If I take it all off at once, it can really mess you up, and if one side grabs crooked, you know. So what I like to do is just kind of wrap the back first on where it's not touched or not grabbing at anything. And then I'm just going to look to make sure that this is straight as I can anyway. And I'm going to push this down right on that line that I determined was going to be for how I was going to measure the set. So I'm going to push this down really good. Make sure that's down. Okay. Now for this, you can actually remove all the score tape. It should just wind right around, but you do have to help it. Sometimes it likes to go a little off track, a little crooked. Okay, so the easiest way I can tell you to do this, and I'm right-handed, so I'm going to turn this around. And I'm going to stand this up so you can kind of see. I'm going to push from the middle first, watching to make sure that it stays straight across the top. And I'm going to smooth it out. So the first step was to push in the middle, and then I'm smoothing it out like that. And then I'll go back once I get the back on and make sure I'm completely down. Okay, so here's the back part. Now I'm going to push in the center. And now I'm just going to pull it down like this. Okay, let's make sure it's all on there, so just kind of run your hands around. What I like to do next is kind of open up the album. And as you can see, you're going to see sometimes some bubbles. That's where we need to push it down. For the creases and the bubbles on the spine, I usually put my nails together, like so. And I just run it straight on down to get that score tape to grab on. Same over here. Trying to keep it as straight as possible. If it gets a little off, it's not a big deal. Sometimes that's what happens. Okay, now you're going to slowly, carefully open it, close it actually, and then open it back up. If you need to do this one more time, then do it, but that should correct and help with straightening that out. And you know you're down. And you should look good now. In your Dritz, just remove this piece for now. Let's get our glue, and this is a good time for a binder clip, which will help us. We're going to get that on there so it has time to dry. Okay, so all we're going to do is place this down. Actually, grab the other side of it. This is what I like to do. I'm going to get mine centered in there pretty good. So I like to bring mine all the way in, but just leaving enough room for this to slide through easily. So once I have that, and that looks pretty straight to me, I'm going to use a binder clip, and I'm just going to clip it to hold it while it dries. I'm going to put this back in the pack so I don't lose it, and we'll attach that at the end of the tutorial. Okay, I think that's on there pretty good. Let's go ahead and grab our 3/4 inch lace, and we are going to cut a strip to fit. And if you have any little threads, a lot of lace has that threadiness. Some people don't care, but I usually trim mine off to make it nice and neat looking. Okay, all we're going to do now is take our glue. We're going to apply it right here, and we're going to put that down. Binder clips help with keeping it down after you've got your glue down, and also it helps to keep it straight while it dries. And one thing good about the lace being right here too is if you got crooked on getting yours on, this is a good time that it will help straighten you out or give it the effect that it's straight. And I think mine's pretty good there. And then after it dries, you will trim off anything that you need to trim. We're going to flip this over, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to cut a piece to fit, and we're going to glue that down. In your paper collection, you will find this sheet on the back. It's this. Let's go ahead and trim off this top piece, and then we are just going to make a cut all the way down to grab these two panels. Let's put this in our reserve pile, and what we're looking for is to get this one out. So let's go ahead and get this on our paper cutter, cut across here and here. These two go in our reserves, and then we'll start working with this one. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to just mount this right on there. That size that I just gave you should be perfect for you to mount your panel and still give you a little bit of black around the edges to show. So let's get our glue out, apply it, and center that on down. The next thing we're going to do is apply glue to the back of this. And we are going to center that on our album. You can just eyeball this. We don't need to measure. And just get it straight. Grab your DBS frame, and we're going to apply glue to the back of the frame. And we're going to mount that. Don't worry about down here and that showing. Just make sure you get it straight. So that's what you should have. If you are using the Purple Madness, you can see how it changes the look of the cover, so however you want to do. I'm looking at the screen right now as I'm filming, and it's coming across blue, bluish purple, and there's no blue in this. This is a dark purple. But I thought the gumdrop looks really good. And depending on which way you want to go with your album, a darker and then the lighter, it's up to you, but both do match in nicely. Let's get our bling out, and what we're going to do is we are going to glue down around the edges. So the easiest way for me is just to snip off pieces that will fit around, and you can still see the black. So that's what I'm going to do. And this will really make the center pop, the colors and everything. So let's go ahead and start clipping, and then we're going to glue it down around the outside. Okay, I've got mine all glued down. I'm going to give it a moment to for the glue to dry. Okay, go ahead and prepare a couple of your vines or leaves, whatever you want to use, and one of these. Let's start off there. If you're using packaged flowers, there are packaged leaves that you can purchase and ink them up, and then some of them are also already colored for you. So that's an option. Okay. So we've got our leaves all ready to go. I don't have the stickles on yet. I will do the stickles as soon as I get everything on there. It might make it easier. I am going to apply glue to the back of this, and I'm going to lay it right like that, so you can still see that butterfly through there just a bit. I'm going to apply glue to this one, and that one's going to go just like this. Oops. Now, when I've got my glue down, now when placing down this, you're going to want to probably leave this a little loose up here so that when we slide our sentiment in, we have some choices to slide back underneath. I did pat down some of these. My glue is still drying, and some of them I left to be slightly up, as you can see. Okay, for our other leaf, we're just going to lay that right here, glue that down. My stem is right here, so it's going to partially cover that on up. So let's glue that down. Let's prepare one more flower, or excuse me, the small curly leaf, and let's go ahead and glue that down right like that. The leaf that goes on the inside, don't glue it down to the paper yet. Okay, I have not glued down my flowers, but I wanted to show you what our layout's going to look like. I do have 11 flowers here. A couple larger ones, one's larger, one's whatever, and then some medium and small. Now I have different styles that I've done, and to achieve, if you're working with the inks and the die cuts like I am, I'll help you to achieve some of these colors. I'll show you what I've done. For instance, and I don't have my Winkostella all over this one, but this one was stamped with the Heliotrope. Then what I did was I went in the center and I went a little darker with Plum. And then I brushed real lightly a little bit of Lilac coming out, as you can see. When I was all done with those colors, what I ended up doing was coming back, and this is with Robin's Egg, and getting some of the blue, blending it in with some of the purples, and it created this flower. And this has a little more blue, which and it was stamped with Plum and lightly gone over with the Lilac, and then at the ends was the Robin's Egg. Now this one I've got the Winkostella on it, and I did add the diamond stickles. This larger flower, and there are two of the largest petals that were die cut. Then I went to a medium, and then I went to a size smaller and created the bud inside on that. Okay, this one was stamped with Plum, and then it was brushed with Lilac, and then the Winkostella went on, and I have yet to add the diamond stickles. But you don't have to add the diamond stickles to all of them. It's kind of a nice contrast, some of them that don't have it. Okay, for this one was actually stamped with Harbor, and then it was lightly brushed sparingly with Robin's Egg, and it was also with a little bit of the Spa. When I was done, then I went back with the Lilac and I just hit the tips of the petal. So as you can see, you can make with these colors a variety of mixes that actually complement and go with this paper collection. So I'm going to show you what I have here. I have these, and they're just basic shaping, and then for the bud I just bring them in and glue them together. And I do have the prills on the inside. This one's just 2 layers of a smaller and then a smaller inside with prills. I've got single layer of smaller ones in here. And this one was stamped with Harbor, and then lightly brushed with Spa, and then very dark, excuse me, my English here, Lilac. And this flower is pretty much the same as this one. It's just using the smaller petals, and same as this. This one was stamped with Spa, and then it was lightly brushed with robin's egg, and then I hit the tips with lilac. And I rolled up the center there to make it look like a rose. And then I have these smaller ones going around. So I'm going to give you a moment to get your flowers the way you like. Those of you using packaged flowers, what you can do is lay yours out. You can do the same like format that I did, but lay them out next to each other to see what colors complement each other. The suggestions I gave, they should look nicely together. I'm going to go ahead and use my hot glue gun for quick tacking and start putting some of these down. And if you don't like the layout that I've done, you can mess around with yours until you like what you see. And that's pretty much how I do with these covers. It's just lay them out first to see what I like, and then play with them. Okay, stickles. All I'm going to go is go through here and add a little stickles here and there. You can use the tip as an applicator, or you can use your fingers. Now, a subscriber to my YouTube channel, her name is Aline. She used to teach elementary school back when they had paste and they used their fingers a lot. She was saying the best way to keep it more clean, and I have a bad habit of using my pointer finger here, my index finger, but she said to put it on, rub it around once you have it on there with your ring finger. So if you're right-handed, you would use that and it keeps it cleaner. If you're left-handed, you would use this finger. So that is a great tip. It makes total sense to me, and I've been trying to break my habit of using this finger because it gets goopy. So I'm just going to go around a little bit, put some on the edges here of the flower, and then I'll go back through and kind of dab, move it around a little, some of these flowers, to smear it in a little bit better. So before we move on to anything else, let's give this just a little bit of time to dry, our stickles. And then we're going to open up our album, and we are going to work on getting the spine on there, and then we'll come back and put in our little sentiment in there. In your paper pack, on the last sheet in your book, let's trim off the top of this, and then we're going to carefully cut this tag out. I've got mine out. Let's go ahead and put this in reserves. Let's grab our Tim Holtz Baroque frame. Now, if you are wanting to put some sort of saying in here, sentiment, if you have a stamp, a small one, go ahead and stamp it first and let it dry. In this case, you can also handwrite what this book is about, but how it's going to look is like this. So easiest thing for me is just to hold on to that and just cut around what I need. I am going to stick these shreds back in reserves. Okay, so I have mine just like that. So all I'm going to do right now is place a little glue to hold that down while I place the frame on there. Oops, got a little off. Now, if your stickles are still drying, this is what I suggest you do because it's easier this way anyway, is grab your album, open it up. Now let's apply glue to the back. And all we're going to do is center this on that spine, center between the sides, and lay it down. So we need to give that probably about 5 minutes, depending on how much glue you actually used, to dry. Let's grab 4 flat back pearls. Now this is going to take a moment to dry because we are placing it right on the middle part of that Dritz there. I think I got mine pretty even. Okay, once you have that one down, then you can place the one on the other side. And you'll want to stay even or it's going to throw off your cover. And that's why I'm using the white glue, because it will take time to grab in case I need to maneuver it rather than use hot glue. Alright, let's grab our other one. And we're going to want to go up at the top and then one at the bottom. And this is where you'll want to be straight as well with that one. So whatever you do up top is what you're going to do on the bottom. Make sure they're even. And I think I'm pretty even there. Okay, let's let this dry. Let's grab this out of our paper pack on the back. It looks like this. Let's go ahead and trim off that top strip, and then let's cut this long strip of sentiments out. Okay, the other piece goes in reserves. Now let's get Good Times Together out, and we'll stick this back in our reserves. I am grabbing my plum, my darkest purple, and I'm going to lightly get those edges. Okay, let's get our glue out. Put it on there. And I'm just going to slip this right in there. Our cover is complete. As soon as everything dries, we're going to move on into page 1. We're on page 1. We can set our album aside while we work on this. Let's first trim off this top piece, and then what we're going to do, on the back side it does look like this. We're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. This is what you should have. So what we're going to do is we are going to flip these over. Let's put our pieces together like this. We'll put them together. We're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. Okay, let's go ahead and flip these back over. Set this one off to the side. This is going to be for our page 2. And how I number these is like a book. We've got page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. and so that we can all be on the same page here. So this is going to be for page 2. Let's just set this off to the side. I'm not going to put it in my reserves. These 2 pieces here, let's go ahead and put that with our page 2. And we're going to work on this. Let's grab a piece of black cardstock. And I am looking at this so that I am 8.5 inches across. We're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. Let's go ahead and put this in our reserves for now. Let's measure over 8 inches and cut. Don't put this piece in our reserves. We will be working with both of these. Let's grab our scoring board. Okay, I am 8 inches across at 7.5 inches. Let's make our first score mark. Okay, and at 7 and 1, 2, let's say 7 3/8. Let's make our second score, and we can go ahead and fold on that. Set this off to the side. Let's put this one on our board. Okay. At the 2.5 inch mark, we're going to score. And at 2 3/8, we're going to score. And then let's fold on our score lines here. Okay, my flap is down here in the bottom. I'm going to flip this on over. Let's grab a magnet. My flaps are now at the bottom. And we're just going to glue this right on down. I'm going to use hot glue really quick and just stick that down at the top there. We're going to attach this, so what I'm going to do is turn this over. You have 2 score lines on the outer score mark. Let's go ahead and crease it so it looks like this. You can still see the inner score. And what we're going to do is just slide that right on up. Make sure that it is even to where you can't see your blue paper. And once you have it like that, you pinch it, hold it, and I'm going to use my hot glue for quick tacking, and I'm going to tack this down. Now while you flip it, if you feel it moving, start over and line it on up. Now what I'm going to do is just pull that right on down, so now I've got my crease there. Okay, second one is this. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pinch it on the outer score here so that you can still see the inner score. And I'm going to pull this right on top so that it lines up even. And once I have it in place, I'm going to pinch it, turn it over. I'm going to keep it steady there. If I feel it slip, I've got to start over. And I'm going to tack that down. And then I'm going to push up so that I have my side of my scoring marks, which is my spacing, looking nice. Okay, we have a magnet, and it's right underneath here. Let's grab the mate to that magnet. Close this. Make sure that it's not pulled all the way down like that. Make sure it's up where it should be, and it's even. Okay. Let's place that down on this one. All we do now is we use our glue to just dab a little in the middle of that. And this is where, if you got yours on a little crooked, maybe it's sitting more over on this side, this is where you can line up your paper. Make sure you're even down there. And you bring it down and press. Now when you open it, you know where that magnet's supposed to sit up here. So I'm going to remove that. Oops. And I'm going to place it. Okay, let's work on this piece here. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And if I bring this down, because the glue hasn't completely grabbed and because these magnets are really strong, if I go down like this, it might tear the magnet right off. So I'm going to get my paper for this front part first. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. It says "You Are Beautiful." It's green with the blue flowers. On the back side, it looks like this. The first thing we're going to do is trim off this top piece. Now let's measure over 5 7/8 of an inch and cut. Okay, let's put this in our reserves. And we're going to make this real simple. All I'm going to do is first verify that I'm going to have black showing as a border on either side, which I do. I'm going to lay this down to where I can still see where the top of that black cardstock is. And I'm going to leave myself just a little bit of black on the bottom. And then I'm just going to use my pencil to mark where I need to cut so that when I do cut it, it'll place right on the front here with the black showing around as a border. So I've made my mark and now I'm going to cut. Okay, verify that you are going to fit. I'm fitting. We can just go ahead and apply glue now to the back of this and glue that right on down. I think I'm pretty even there. Once you have that down, let's see how we did. So that's what you should have. Now because we don't have a piece of cardstock underneath here where the magnet is, be very careful because this is what can happen. The magnets are very strong. We do need to get our covering for the inside here. So I'm going to place my magnet back. And now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to place this down. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before with my pencil, marking what I need. And one thing is, so that you don't cut wrong, is watch that score mark that you have, that inner score mark. The outer one, actually. If you're looking at it here, it would be this one, the first score line you come to. So when I place this down, I'm going to steer clear of that, making sure that I don't cut this too big to where it catches on that score. So I've made my mark. Let's cut. Okay, I am going to go ahead and verify that I'm fitting, and I am. I'm going to apply glue to the back of this and mount this now. So let's do that. I've got mine down. Now let's see how we do. Perfect. Let's place this down, and you're going to want to leave just a little bit of black showing on this. So let's take our pencil, make a mark, and now I'm going to cut this little strip off. Now I'm going to apply glue to the back of this and mount this. So let's do that. Okay, I got mine down. Let's open this on up. Pull this out of your reserves, and I am just going to measure to fit by placing this down at the top, making sure I am not on that crease mark, and I'm going to come down here to the bottom, make my mark, and now I'm going to cut this way. Keep this piece handy. So I should fit now from top to bottom, and I do want a little bit of black showing over here and over here. So now I'm going to take my pencil on this side, I'm going to make a mark and trim. So verify you're going to fit first. Let's put this off to the side for now. Once you know that you fit, we're going to make a really pretty pocket right here. Pull this piece out of your reserves. We're going to work with this. Okay, on the Regal Borders and Pockets die, I am grabbing this plate, and all I'm going to do is bring that up to where this tip of the die hits the top. I'm going to center it in between the sides. The most important thing is you're going to want to make sure that you are even from the corner here of this die to the top on each side. That's what's going to help you keep your piece straight looking. So let's go ahead and run this through the die cutter. Now those of you that are not using that, grab your deep edge punch, whichever one that you would like, and punch across the long side here. Those of you that have die cut, this is what you are going to have. Now you are going to take this piece here, you're going to cut from here straight to the edge. That will leave you some flaps, and you will do the same here to here. I like to stick mine on the paper cutter and line it up, and so I can get a straight, even cut from here to here, and then I put my blade here and cut up that way. Those of you that used a deep edge punch, for instance, possibly the trellis chain, we won't be doing any fancy cutting or making this look like the example I showed. You are going to have a little more of the black cardstock here showing than those who die cut. And that's perfectly okay. I did this as an example to show you where differences will be. In your Regal border set, you will find this piece. This is the one that coordinates with the hump design up there. Okay? We're going to place this and center this on our sheet here, right over the butterfly. And we're going to have to center this between our sheet there. And once you have that, and you're going to be able to see the butterfly at the top, we're going to run that through the die cutter. Now, those of you using the Martha Stewart deep edge punch, the first thing that I would do is cut above that butterfly so you can still have that butterfly down here. So let's go ahead and cut that. Okay, die cutters, all we're going to do is snip in from the sides to release this. Martha Stewart cutters, punchers, you'll put this top piece in your reserves. I'm going to put this out of the way. For die cutters, all you are going to do is bring that right on up, measure up there where it needs to be. Now, if you are a little bit off where you cut in, this is the perfect time to just bring it right on down. Make a mark with your pencil here, how far you need to come down with your cut. And then just snip. To get that piece out of there. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on this side. Once I've done that, take a look. I look pretty good now. I can go ahead and line that on up there, and down here where there's a little bit of overhang of my pattern paper, that's where I can make a mark with my pencil and trim off that excess. And those of you using the Martha Stewart, you're going to do the same thing. Your butterfly is going to show right through. You'll be straight across up here, but your butterfly is going to show. You will have some of this showing on the bottom, and so you'll just trim that excess off of yours and put that in your reserves. Once you've trimmed it, let's go ahead and lay that down. I think I'm pretty good there. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab our score tape once you have yours down. And where did mine go? I'm working off a roll I already had going. We're just going to apply score tape at the bottom of this panel we cut. Make sure that you press it down really well. And I don't like to touch the adhesive because it lessens it, the potency here. So all I'm going to do is bring this down. I do have some overlap that's going to go back and around, and that's fine. Okay, bringing it down to the bottom. I'm going to start from the center and I'm going to push outwards. That's the best way I've found. Now all I'm going to do is flip this over, bend in my sides, and I can cut off all this extra. I do need some for the flaps here. So, and I do use a low temp because I am getting my hands in this all the time. Okay, now you should have a nice little pocket. Let's grab our base sheet here that we've been working on. We're going to apply glue to the back of this, and we are going to mount this right like this, steering clear of that score line. So let's do that. Placing that down. Quieter in the house, I had to turn off my Roomba, aka Buster is what I call him, my little vacuum. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. Let's go ahead and close this up. Now I have prepared a flower. It's 2 layers. It's a smaller size and then the very small in the middle. I have the prills. I do have Wink of Stella all over it. And I'm just going to put that right here. I'm going to use my white glue now to make sure that stays down so that nothing catches. So when you open it, you can grab it right here, or if you want to put a little pull, you can do that too. I just grab like that. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up. Make sure that your score tape is down at the bottom. Make sure everything is pressed down really good. We are done with page 1. Let's flip that over. We will mount page 1 after we're done mounting page 2, and there is a reason for that, and I'll discuss that after we complete page 2. Now, for score tape, I am going to run it on the back all the way around the edges, making sure it does not go over the edge. All the way around. Trying not to get my fingers in it, but it's almost impossible for me not to. Okay, I want one down the middle and 2 shorter ones on either side. And that's pretty much how we will be doing a lot of these, unless something else is needed. I have something stuck there. So let's set this off to the side and begin on page 2. Page 2, here's our base page. We already have cut for that. We have these 2 pieces off to the side. Let's grab our Blue Fern Studios, the fence here. lattice fence. Hello. Is it not going to let me in there? Now, there we go. Okay, what we are going to do is first, we want to cut this. Now, some of the pieces still need to be popped out from the chipboard when it was cut, so we'll remove all those, of course. But what we want to do is get our scissors, and I am going to use my smaller ones to try and do this. All I'm going to do is cut that little connector that holds this piece onto the fence. And I'm going to go, when I do it, I'm going to just snip it as best I can to release it. Okay, don't throw those away in case I decide we're going to use that, because I am making this as I go. I pretty much know what I want to do before I even start these tutorials, but okay, we're going to paint this white. Let's grab our next one. Trying to keep this straight. And of course, we're going to finish this up by clipping this one off too. Let's paint these up. That was the weirdest thing. I ended up getting black all over my hands, and I am not quite sure where that came from. I keep looking around to think, did I spill something? But no. Okay, all I'm going to do is use some white craft paint and paint this. If I need to do 2 coats, I will. I only need to do one side for this. So I'm going to spend some time here and paint these up, making sure I don't have a bunch of goop in there. Okay, the next thing that we're going to want to do is cut 3 pieces of cardstock. That is 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Once you have all 3 of those, let's get our scoreboard out. Let's place it so we're 6.5 inches across. At 1 inch, we are going to score. At 1 1/8 of an inch, we're going to score. At 3 3/4 of an inch, we're going to score. At 3 7/8 of an inch, we're going to score. And we're going to do that with all 3 pieces so that they are exactly identical. And then we're going to fold on our score lines here. After you fold on all your score lines, you should be able to flip one side in and the other over, and it should fit comfortably like that. We had this set aside. Measure over 2.5 inches and cut, and then measure over again 2.5 inches and cut. This is what you should have. Let's double these up. Measure over 2 3/8 of an inch and cut. The smaller pieces, let's just set off to the side for now. What's going to happen is on 2 of these are going to be glued down to the front. But we're not going to glue that down just yet, so stick these off to the side. Looking at this piece that we've had off to the side, let's measure over 2.5 inches and cut. Now measure over 2 3/8 of an inch and cut. Just stick this off to the side for now. Okay, grab a magnet, and we're going to do this for each one. Here's our flip, our shortest piece here. We're going to put one down on each one of these at the top. And then we are going to grab the mate to it. Okay, the mates. I'm just going to place that right down on each one. I'm going to do my little trick with the glue right in the middle. And I'm going to make sure that this is the way it should be. It's all lined up. And I'm going to press. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that this goes down on that side. And I'm going to do this with each one of them, making sure it's all lined up. Press. And then put the mate down so that it matches up. On one of these, all I'm going to do is glue the blue one down on there, and you should have black frame border showing around. So let's get that one down. And sometimes it's easier just to open this up so that you can see what you're doing. I grab this one, making sure I have it the right way. I will know that it's not the right way because if I turn it the wrong way, it's not going to leave me a black border. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. This little piece I had laying off to the side, put these up here. I'm going to use this right like this. I'm just going to slide it in like that for now. All I'm going to do is put this up so I'm still going to have a little bit of black showing. I'm going to make a mark with my pencil where I need to cut this way as well as this way. So now I'm going to trim this to fit. Okay, I am going to check this to make sure that it's going to fit, and it does. I'm going to glue this down. And the reason why I'm sliding this in here is because the magnets are so strong. I don't want this to tear off without, if I put this down on that, there's no covering. So that's why I'm kind of using this to wedge it back up. Okay, so I'm going to open this back up here. And I am going to just place this here. And I've got the darker blue. And I'm first going to cut down this way. And then I'll cut over this way to get my piece to fit. Okay, once you've verified that it fits and your cut is accurate, let's glue this down. Making sure you don't get on that score line. You should be okay to flip it now. Just make sure you've got your glue down pretty good. Okay. For, let's see, this one that has more roses showing, let's go ahead and grab that same piece of cardstock and just slide that there. I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to place it like that. My first cut is going to be going across this way, and I'm measuring up here. Then I'll come down that way. So let's do that. Check to make sure your cut was accurate before gluing down. Okay, we're going to flip that on up. we'll just bring this right on over. My first cut will be down, and then I'll trim it over what I need to do. So let's do that. Let's apply glue. And there's that one. Okay. Grab your piece of cardstock that we were using and flip that over. That little scrap piece that had the pretty on it. Let's go ahead and apply glue to the back. Mount it right on top of this one up in the corner. Okay, now let's place this down. Make our marks, which way we want to go here. Let's trim across and down. Check to make sure you're going to fit first, and I do. And I'm going to apply glue and mount that. Let's grab our little piece of cardstock we've been putting in there. And we're going to do the same thing we've been doing, cut to fit. Verify it fits, put glue on the back, and let's mount that. And once you have that, you should be able to flip it over. So let's open these all up. And it doesn't matter on the inside how you want to do it, but I will show you. How these are going to eventually place is just like this. So I'll have a yellow with the rose border right here. I'll have the blue in the middle, and I'll have the yellow down here. So let's first work on this one and open it on up. In your reserves, you will have one of these, and then our cuttings. Those of you that use the Martha Stewart punch, you'll have a straight across cut. So let's start with this one. And this is the easiest way to do this. Open it up, place it down so you have a little bit of a black border showing. You should still be able to see where your two score lines are. So we're going to make a pencil mark here, just on the other side of that score line, and then we are going to make a mark down here. Now the first thing that I would do is cut this way, and then let's cut that way. Verify you are going to fit. Now take this one, and we're going to do the same thing, but since we already trimmed across the bottom, we're okay there. We just want to watch that score line up here. Now, if you can't see it that well, drag this down a little more. And then you should be able to see it just fine. Let's go ahead and cut. Let's go ahead and apply our glue. That way. Okay, this one is just about done. You can go ahead and grab one of your white lattice fence. Now all we are going to do here is on the back side where I didn't paint is I'm just going to put glue on the side here and on the side over here and on the bottom. I got something stuck there, in there, that I need to get out. Looks like it's a little bit of chipboard. Okay, what you're going to do is open this up. You should have the black now showing back here and down here. You're going to bring this all the way down and push it down there. So now it should still magnetically catch if you're using the same magnets I'm using. But so I'm just going to let that go just like that. The magnet will help hold that down for me. Let's move on to the one with the blue, with the yellow little flap. And we'll open that up. This is where we're going to use this one. And this is real simple. I'm going to just lay this right on down, measure where I need to be across the bottom, and I'm going to cut. And then, of course, I need to cut to fit. Make my mark here. So essentially, we're going to do the same thing we just did on this one. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I have measured up. I've got my 2 pieces. I've verified it's going to fit. I'm just going to glue these down. Okay, flip this over, grab this, oops, snap that over. Okay, for the last one with the yellow, we're going to do the same thing we've done before. We're going to lay this down, figure out where we need a cut across the bottom, and then we're just going to measure to fit, cutting our pieces out. Okay. The first one I am going to place is this one. It has the yellow background panel here and this. I'm going to apply glue to the back. And I'm going to place this all the way at the top and to the edge. Done an okay job. Okay. Let's grab the other yellow one that's going to sit at the bottom. And now this one. And this one's just going to center in between where you have some blue showing. And that looks pretty straight to me. Okay, once you have your pieces down, this is where you open it up and press down really good. In your reserves, you will have this sheet. On the back, it looks like this. Let's go ahead and put this on our paper cutter and cut down to release these panels from this one. You can put this one in reserves. Now let's put it on our paper cutter and divide up these panels. Okay, these two let's put in our reserves, and this one let's just set that off to the side for now. Cut a 3 1/4 inch by 6 inch piece of cardstock. Okay, once you've done that, and this is the easiest way for you to get a good fit, is you're going to lay this down, your panel here, and you're going to center it over your black cardstock. You are going to make a mark and just mark just to the right side of this black edge, and then just to the left side of that black edge of cardstock. What that's going to do is, that's our mark to trim this down, and still allowing us a little bit of black cardstock to show, to really make these colors pop. So I've made mine, and let's go ahead and trim to fit. I went ahead and trimmed mine. Now place this down on your cardstock to make sure that you have black showing on either side. If that is the case, or maybe you need to trim a little more, go ahead and do so. Mine fits, so I am going to grab my scoring board. I'm 6 inches across. At 5 1/4 inches, let's score. And then at 5 3/8 of an inch, let's score. And then we're going to fold on our score lines here. Now, before we do anything, let's just make sure that if we place this down now, tuck your flaps all the way to the back, behind, that now you have a black border showing around. If that's the case, and you're good to go like I am, let's apply glue to this and glue it down. And sometimes it's easier just to push all your flaps back behind so you don't have them in your way, and it's easier to see the edge of your cardstock. Oops. Okay, let's see how we did here. If I was to fold this now on the outer score line like this and hook this up to the top and bring it over to the left, you should be able to fit nicely. I have mine down. I'm going to pinch and hold it, flip it over. If I feel my paper moves at all, I have to start all over to line that back up. Okay, now I'm just going to bring that right on up. Let's flip this up. In your reserves, you will have this panel. Let's flip it over. And it should fit top to bottom, leaving a little bit of black showing. And all we're going to do is trim to fit. And then we're going to glue that right on down. I've got mine down. Now all these little trimmings that we had, let's put all these in reserve. Page 2 is complete. Let's flip it on over. And we're going to put our score tape down the same way we've done before. And back. And then we'll end up putting one down the center and 2 shorter ones on either side. And then let's grab our book, because we are going to mount this page before we mount page 1. I have my book open. Now, one thing you may want to do, and I do this a lot, is in my reserves, I'm just going to pull this out and flip it over. And I'm going to slide it back behind page 2 here so that I can see the edges a lot better. And it's easier for me to center this. Now, when I center this, I'm going to leave about 1/4 inch of black border around. And that's the best way to, on these larger albums, instead of using 2 paper pads and cutting each one of these base pages at 6 1/4 inches, excuse me, I'm cutting them at 6 inches to reserve on cardstock and still have the album look nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my score tape. And craft knife works excellent for this. Quickly to get this all up. Trying to keep my fingers out of it. And I'm going to try and keep my head out of the video too. And this is easier said than done when doing this. So I'm just going to kind of look to try and get as even as I can here. I think that's going to be okay. Okay, once I have laid this, that's when I'm going to open up some of the fold outs or whatever I've got going to make sure I get it down really good on the edges. And there you have it. Okay. So for page 1, now that we've got 2 down, it's easier to place this down to line it up with the top and bottom of this. And I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to remove my score tape and I'm going to place this. And I'll show you. Alrighty. And I have this still behind so you can see where the cardstock ends and it's easier. Okay, I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the score tape. All I'm going to do is try to keep even with the top of here and here and steering clear of where this album folds. So, and I want to center it on this. This is larger than our cardstock because it's our cover. So, that being said, I hope I've got this. Alright, I'm going to flip this open now, and I'm going to press this down really good. Page 1 and 2 are in our book. It looks really nice. We're on to page 3.